The Zen master goes on to say, quote, "Once a student came to me and asked, 'What is the purpose of life?' When I replied, 'To play,' he was disappointed. 'Just to play, is that it?' he asked and went away. Once you have reached the last station at the end of the line, there is nothing to seek. All one does is play. Here, to have things is fine. Not to have things is also fine. To live is fine. To die is also fine. To be happy is fine. To be sad is also fine. If it rains, that's fine. If it shines, that too is also fine. Every day is good. Every day is good." End quote. That is liberation. That is unconditional happiness. Happiness which does not hinge on any kind of external circumstance. Again, newbies sometimes make the mistake of thinking, but Leo, if I'm going to be happy under all circumstances, whether I'm rich or poor, or whether I have sex or not, or whether my kids are healthy or not, if I'm going to be happy under all of those circumstances, then what's the point? But you see what you're setting up there is you're setting yourself up in a sort of rigged game where you can never win. Because by definition, then, if you're rejecting unconditional happiness, that means that what you want to be suffering half the time. And of course, that's exactly what you've got, is a life that's half suffering and half good. So what liberation means is precisely that you take yourself out of the equation of life, you realize no self, and then what you realize is that once you're dead, once the self is dead, and that is what we're talking about here. We're talking about suicide in a sense. Not in the physical sense that you think that you're going to harm your body, but we're talking about the suicide of the notion of a self or a you. That's what awakening is. That's what the discovery of the ox is. But why is that so magnificent? Because once you're out of the equation, then all there is to life, once you're dead in a sense, is there's pure positivity. Everything is bonus. Everything is just sort of a cherry on top. Nothing can ruin your day because you're dead. You're not attached to anything anymore. You have nothing to defend anymore. You're not trying to defend your life, your body, your self-image, your social status, your wealth, or your notions of religion or family or politics or government or anything. You're not defending anything anymore because you've surrendered everything so completely that now it's sort of like your nihilism has gone full circle. And at the very end of nihilism is an inflection point where the nihilism then explodes into just infinity. Emptiness explodes into everythingness. And once you're dead, you realize that that's it. That's the worst. You faced the worst thing that could possibly happen to you, and you did it by your own hand. It's sort of like you took a sword and you slit your own throat. And at this point, that's it. There's no more problems. Every day that you get after that is just a good day. Everything is fine, no matter what it is. That is liberation. And it's only from that place that now you can play. And here, Yamada Momon says that the purpose of life is to play. And I've said that in the past before, because I've had that exact same realization when I've had my Satoris, is that there is no purpose to life other than life itself, being itself. And then what do you do with the rest of your life after you realize that? What do you do with the rest of your life after you've died? You just bask in the beauty of it. It's just pure beauty. It's just pure magic. It's all extra. It's all bonus. It's all heaven. You're literally inside of heaven because you have nothing more to lose, because you've already voluntarily surrendered any attachments that you've had, and ultimately your entire life. That's not meant metaphorically, that's meant literally. You've literally surrendered your entire life by this point, if you've gotten this far. And now you can see why this is so difficult. Are you willing to lay your neck on the chopping block and surrender your whole life in order to attain heaven, nirvana, and everlasting peace? Are you willing to make the radical transformation in your psyche to be happy unconditionally all the time under all circumstances, no matter how bad or ugly you may have thought they were before. Such that you're happy no matter what. If Nazis are taking over, you're happy. If terrorists are bombing the world, you're happy. If nuclear weapons are going off, you're happy. If there's millions of poor people starving and dying, you're still happy. Most people would say, no, Leo, I don't want to be happy under those conditions. I would rather suffer. I want to fight. I want to create a good world, and I want to help people, and I want equality. I want to save the polar bears, and I can't be happy when there's global warming, and I can't be happy when there's terrorism, and I can't be happy when such and such a person is a president, and I can't be happy in this country, and I can't be happy under this condition, and I can't be happy ever. Well, there you go. That's why you're not happy. This is a very deeply counterintuitive move to surrender yourself to be happy under all conditions. Very, very counterintuitive. You're going to have to hit your head against that wall over and over and over again until you realize the foolishness of the way you've been living your life. And your insistence on conditional happiness. Every fool insists on conditional happiness. Every fool can be conditionally happy when he has money and sex and healthy children and all this stuff. But that's not going to last. Even if you acquire all of that stuff, it ain't going to last. You're going to lose your good looks. You're going to lose your teeth. You're going to lose your health. You're going to lose your children. You're going to lose your dog and your cat, and your wife and your husband will probably leave you at some point. You'll get divorced and it'll be nasty. And if you feel good and happy right now, tomorrow you'll lose that. If the economy is good right now, tomorrow it won't be. If violence and terrorism and genocide is under control right now, next year it won't be. The Zen master goes on to say, quote, "To penetrate right through judgments of good and bad, isn't that your original face? Isn't that Buddha nature? When the clouds of good and bad have been swept completely away, then isn't that the moon of reality shining there? To think that the clouds represent bad and the moon represents good is a mistake. The clouds represent both good and bad. When the clouds of both good and bad have been swept away, then a brilliance appears as eternal and unchanging as the gold which has been refined from the ore." End quote. Again, another very, very counterintuitive move is made here by the master. He surrenders all discriminatory thinking, all judgment, and all ideas and notions of good and bad. Most ordinary people think that if you did this, then your life would go bad and you would attract all sorts of bad things into your life. But they don't realize that good and bad are two sides of the same coin. And at the same time as you're judging certain things good, automatically that's bringing bad into your life. By saying that's a good person, the only meaning that word has is because there's some other bad person that you're pointing to a minute later, that you're using as a foil to contrast the good and the bad. And so, of course, you're going to love the good, but you're going to hate the bad. And so that hatred is going to permeate you. You're going to be afraid of those bad people or those bad circumstances. So the counterintuitive move is to get rid of the good and the bad.